He is Bradley Kim. He is currently serving in the Air Force, also an up and coming rising musician. He is on Twitter, Instagram, even Snapchat, if you want to follow him. And I encourage everybody to do that. Bradley K. Kim. And we are going to talk about his life, what makes him inspirational. This is the On to Something podcast. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at Fox Sports Radio. I'm on Twitter at Bryan Fenley. So we're having the privilege here of talking to Bradley, who is an indie pop musician rising the ranks here. We're going to get into all he's doing musically, football wise, and his life. First of all, Bradley, I appreciate you doing this. And there are a lot of people out there who look up to you. Why is that?
Oh, I don't know, first of all, but um, so a few years ago, I publicly came out as gay and became the first Division One football player at a service academy to be openly gay, and so that's kind of what has started the trajectory of me being in the public eye, and kind of why maybe a few people might look up to me in some sort of way.
What do you look up to you when it comes to how you handled that moment? When you look back now, when you came out that day, and what you thought the reactions of others were going to be and what they ended up being.
Um, so that's a tough one because, well, first of all, it was a few years ago, so it's still I forget a little bit, but I just remember being extremely scared. And I think if anybody has been in any similar sort of situation, they kind of it's always a lot worse in your head than it actually is in real life. And you come to find that a lot of people don't actually care about the things that you care about. Like everybody's 95% of their focus is on themselves. And so when I spent all of my time worrying about what other people are going to think, it really was for nothing because nobody really cared. And I mean that in the best possible way. I was afraid that people would treat me differently. I was afraid of like I kind of knew going in there were going to be some trolls and stuff like that. People like everybody's going to say something. Everybody's going to throw hate your way regardless of what you do. But I was really caught off guard by just the lack of people caring. And again, I say that in the best way possible because people are like, cool, like you be you, just live your life. Like that's cool. And that was one of the best reactions I could have gotten because like the next day, nothing really changed. I went to practice, I went to lifts, and everybody just treated me the same, like I was the same person from the day before to now, or to that day. But it was super cool.
What was the tipping point for you to choose when you did to come out the way you did?
Um, so there were a few factors at play there. One of them was just kind of something that was eating at me for a while. That is a little bit personal to share, but there at that point in time, it had been a year or so since I had gotten to the Air Force Academy, and like I had grown a lot as far as coming to accept myself. And at that point, either everybody in my life that I cared about a lot and loved and knew that would be there for me 100% had already known and already expressed their support for me. And so at that point, I was just kind of thinking about it, and I said, like, why not? Like I have this support, I have these people here that will be there for me regardless of what happens. Like I don't need anything else other than that. And knowing that I didn't really have a whole lot of role models growing up that I could look to draw strength from when I was struggling in high school and below, whatever. I thought I could have been that person for a lot of people, and so I used the platform that I had, and I did it, and here we are.
Here we are. We're talking about your story. Bradley Kim is with us, got some great music coming out and has already come out. We're going to talk about that as well. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at Fox Sports Radio. So, when you were younger and growing up in the Seattle area, and such an important part of the fabric of who you are is football. You played at a really powerhouse high school, and this was your family loved sports, and
Yeah.
there was this feeling, I would think, Bradley, to follow in the footsteps or to, okay, if my predecessors in my family love football, then I have to go that direction. How much of football was something that you loved, but also trying to get the validation and approval of others?
It's actually super interesting that you say this because I'm reading a book right now, and the chapter I was reading today was actually specifically on this topic. It's kind of eye opening, but I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Um, I think everybody in one way, shape, or form will kind of conform their identity to their parents, to their upbringing, to their childhood, and a lot of their thoughts will not be their own. And so for me, like I looked at my older siblings, both my brothers played football. One of my brothers hated it. He just did it because my dad wanted him to try it. Um, and so I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be like my dad. And so I did football and I was good at it. And I enjoyed being successful and I enjoyed being viewed as successful growing up. I think a big part of me wanted a lot of validation from my older siblings and from my parents. Um, and it was nice because it was just something that I was good at. And so I just kind of ran with it. As far as now though, like I love football. I've always loved football. Like even to this day, every single Sunday, I will sit on my couch and watch football all day long. Um, so yeah, it is a big part of me. It started as kind of a way to get attention from my parents because I was the youngest of five, fighting for attention from two parents. But it's grown into a part of me and something that's never going to change. So
You played at the Division I level, certainly Mountain West Conference and Air Force. When you were on the field, what about putting the pads on, making tackles, playing defense, whether it was practice or a game? What about the whole football playing experience for you, Bradley, brought you the most joy?
I feel like I could answer with a lot of different things here. One of my favorite things, so I played safety. So I was known as a hard hitting safety in high school. And so one of my one of my most favorite things is just coming downhill and just making a big hit and just hearing the pop. Like one of those is like one of the best feelings in football. Just making big plays. I love just celebrating with teammates after they do stuff. Um, I love just talking shit. I mean, sorry, can I swear?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
I love talking shit to the other people. Like I would get my ass whooped like a bunch in one on ones. Just one on ones is such a receiver's drill, but I would just still talk. Like I just love to talk just because it's fun. Even if it was just the dumbest shit, like I would just say whatever I wanted just because it was funny. And like I don't know, I just had fun with it, and like yeah, I miss it.
How much do you miss it, and how was that heightened because of the injuries that you had, and how much of an impact did those injuries have in complicating your playing career in college?
I mean, the injuries were everything in complicating my college career. Um, the thing I always tell people when they ask me if I miss football is I miss the sport, but I don't necessarily miss playing for my college team. And that's nothing necessarily against my college team. It's just the difference between high school and college football is night and day as far as like college football is a job. Like it is people's occupations. They get paid to do this thing and you are like this is your like second job aside from school. And so it was just a lot different. Not necessarily again in a bad way. It just with everything was just super stressful. I'm glad I did it. I'm also glad that it's over at the same time. But yeah, like if I had not been injured as many times in as many ways as I was, I would be interested to see what I could have done with my football career. So in that respect, I do miss the game, but in the respect of my physical, mental health, not so much.
I'm sure one of the positives was the relationships, the friends that you made, the camaraderie, the bond at that level. And how much did they embrace you when you had the confidence in college to come out the way you did? And how did that allow you to grow an appreciation for who they were and what they stood for as well?
It was awesome. I mean, the bonds that you make with your teammates, and we like to say we have a special bond at the academies just because we go through so much more shit than you would at a regular public university. Um, I like I'm just surprised sometimes. I think my expectations are low for people sometimes, and like I don't mean to do that. It's just kind of a defense mechanism and kind of a way to set my expectations low so that if they are lower, then I'm not hurt as bad. But they surprised me in a really good way when I came out to them. um, we at the academy have a very unique recruiting situation in that we don't really have a limit on how many people we can bring in a year just because of the way that the school is funded through the taxpayer dollars. And so we had maybe 150 to 200 people on the team at the time that I was coming out. And so I'm like, I'm not going to gather 200 people in a room of like 30 of which I maybe have a close personal relationship with. So I made the decision to gather all the DBs in one room and talk to them after a lift. And like they were super cool about it. I was obviously standing up there like super fucking nervous. I was just like super nervous. I was like, so I got something to tell you guys. Um, I got this thing I'm gonna do. So yeah, I mean, I talked to my coach about it. He was super cool. I can't remember. I think I talked to him in person and then talked to him on the phone first before just to check with him to make sure for like PR purposes I was allowed to do it. Then I talked to my teammates and they were super cool about it. Like they clapped. The
Oh,
DBs in the room clapped, and it was like, oh shit, like because I don't know. At the end of the day, I think everybody just appreciates genuine people, and I think that was me being my most genuine self, and I think they all appreciated that. One thing that'll stick with me is one of my friends that was in the room at the time. He was like, "That's not going to keep me from making gay jokes around you," and I was like, "Good. I wouldn't have it any other way."
being yourself and finding yourself and being able to be completely yourself in front of others. Why was that harder when you were younger?
That's a toughie, but I think it goes back to something I was talking about earlier with just every part of my identity. I think was given to me or I just assumed
Yeah.
from my parents, from my siblings, from my from the suburban city that I grew up in, a suburb of Seattle. And I think obviously my worldviews were extremely narrow. Um, and so I just kind of got shaped into this type of person because it's what was expected of me, I think. And to this day, I don't know if it was me expecting that of myself or if it was the society actually expecting that of me. But I think you have a lot of unique pressures growing up as a child, whether it's your peer pressure, whether it's pressure from your family to be a certain way, whether it's pressure from whatever. But now that I think that separation for me from my hometown was where I've grown the most in my life because I now have the ability to think critically about everything and to think independently of what I was brought up with. And so a lot of my views have done like a full 180
Wow.
from when I grew up. And I like I encourage everybody to move away from their hometown because I don't think I would like the person I would have been had I stayed in Washington. I've learned so much in the past. How many years I've been away? Almost 5 years. I've almost been away from Seattle, and nothing against Seattle. It's just like you grow up in a place, and like that's kind of your past person. That's who you were, and I've now left, and so I don't know. It's just a lot easier to be myself now that I have the ability to think for myself. Is kind of what that boils down to.
Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently?
I think that's so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I think it's so easy to just say, "Oh, I would have come out sooner. I would have done X, Y, Z differently." But like I guess knowing what I know now, I probably would have come out sooner. But like with the same feelings and same pressures and same whatever, like I don't know that I would have made the same decisions necessarily. but I think I at least would have told my family sooner. My brother came out before I did, so I legitimately don't know what I was so afraid of with my parents because they were okay with it. Excuse me. Um, I can't. I think it was like 1 to 2 years before I did. No, it was like 2 to 3 years before I came out. I think maybe more than that. But like we had already established my parents were okay with just being gay in general. So I don't know what I was so afraid of. So I think that first of all I would have done. But I don't know. It's a tough question because I don't want to give you just like the cookie cutter answer, but at the same time, it's like knowing what I know now, I probably would have done a lot of things differently. I probably would have maybe hung out with different people, probably would have done different things. Um, Honestly, I think I would have had a little bit more fun because I was so worried about what other people were going to think that I like tried so hard to keep up this whatever persona of somebody who I thought I was portraying. And so I think I would have just let loose and have a little bit more fun because I was so focused on the future and focused on how I would look to all my friends and how I would look to colleges, how I would look beyond that. But now that I know, it's like, okay, I'll just have some fun.
Speaking of letting loose and having fun, that's what music has done in your life as we transition. And was it you started with a ukulele?
Yeah.
How did that, of all instruments, why the ukulele?
So my dad was born and raised in Wahiawa, Hawaii, and so we have a big background with just like everything related to Hawaii. So we have a family ukulele, and um, I think that thing's older than I am.
Wow.
And so it was made. It's made out of koa wood. It's like super nice. It's probably worth like $400. The frets are all cracked now, so it doesn't work. Like you play a chord on it, and it'll just sound like straight shit. Um, but we that was like the only instrument we had that wasn't my brother's because my brother also does a little bit of music too. And so this girl on my track team wanted to go to prom with me, and this was my junior year, her senior year, and it's a senior prom, so it's like all about the seniors. And obviously, the guys ask the girls. And so I wanted to come up with a creative way to ask her. And she was super involved with music. I think she was in vocal jazz. I think she was um, in whatever music clubs were available at our high school. She was in them, and she was just fantastic on the piano. So I was like, yeah, why not learn how to play ukulele and sing her a song? And so I think the song I chose was "Count on Me" by Bruno Mars, and I sang her that song and asked her to prom. I was god awful, but I loved every second of learning how to play ukulele and like singing with it. And I don't know, I enjoyed it so much differently than I enjoyed anything else in my life, and I just stuck with it.
What does music stand for when it comes to your life? Where do you hold it? An escape, a place to channel your passions, where your joy comes from? What does music as a whole do for you in your life's purpose?
Music is everything to me. Like I don't even know where to begin. I guess like if I start with songwriting, like songwriting is my ability to process emotions that I maybe am not strong enough to deal with head on or directly. It's an outlet for when things get tough. It's an outlet for when things are good, and I want to write about when things are good in my life to have that to draw upon. It's being able to process emotion, like moving now to the listening side, like being able to listen to different people's music. It's able to allowing myself to process emotions that maybe I didn't know how to process, allowing myself to feel things. I love sad boy playlists and just, getting a good cry in. Um, it's putting me in a good mood before I have to go to work. It's letting myself unwind after work on the car ride home. Like concerts are my all-time favorite thing. Just the feelings I get at concerts, listening to live music. It's just like I don't even know how to describe it. And I feel like that's how you describe the best things in life, not being able to describe it. Just the feelings I get at concerts, whether I'm performing or whether I'm listening to somebody perform, is just some of the best possible feelings that I have gotten in my life.
If a young Bradley Kim was sitting at a concert watching the Bradley Kim we're talking to right now play live music, what do you think that conversation is going to be like from a young Bradley seeing what he would one day turn into?
Gosh, I don't know. Even like rewind 9 years, I wouldn't even believe you if like you were to tell me I was gay, because I was that good at being at repressing my own inner thoughts. So depends on what age range we're talking about younger Bradley, but um, if it's like young to mid high school, I think I'd like it would be just such a relief, such a like weight off the shoulders from my high school self, just being able to see me living my actual passion in life right now. Because I'm very content and I love where I'm at in my life. I'm like nowhere near where I want to be as far as who I am as a person and where I am in life, but I'm on the right track and I'm doing the right things right now. So I don't see how I wouldn't be just incredibly happy and relieved as my younger self, because there were so many nights I spent in high school and before that nobody ever really saw, just like hopeless, thinking I was going to live the life of somebody else that somebody else wanted me to live. And in a way, I'm kind of doing that right now for the next 5 years. It's, I mean, it's still good for me in some ways, but you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
But
when you
yeah, long. I just answered that in a very long way. But long story short, I think I'd be very happy and I'd be very relieved if I was my younger self talking to myself right now.
yeah, and so you said 5 years, which is your commitment to the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken, post graduation. But when you think about how far you've come along as a songwriter and as a musician and your fluency and your expertise with instruments and playing them, how far along have you come since that time when you were just kind of fiddling around with the ukulele, just to see how much more advanced and
Oh
improved
my gosh.
that you've become as a musician?
Night and day. I don't even know how to like night and day. I've
Wow.
had trouble like shaping chord. Like everybody did it when they first began, but like even okay. I literally like 4 days ago taught myself how to play Cherry Wine by Hosier. I don't know if you know the song.
Wow.
So that's like been a bucket list item for me, and I've just been taking so long to try to learn it. But because of how long I've been playing and the like the intricate stuff that my friend Caleb has taught me how to do, and that I've other things that I've been teaching myself how to do, like I taught myself basically the whole song in one night, and I was like, oh my god, I never thought I'd be able to do something like that. And then I'm playing it, and I'm like, ah, it's just this like I don't even like, yeah, it's just a really good feeling knowing that hard work is actually coming to fruition.
And it's going to continue to do that. Where do you see this music career of yours going? Because we're just starting to see a full blast off, I think, with you. It is starting to take off, and a lot of great things are in your future. You have the talent, that's clear. And right now, the word is getting out about you and what you can do. So everybody has a plan, and maybe the plan doesn't exactly go how we want. It can be better than what we thought. It can maybe take longer than what we thought. But for you, how far do you want to take this music?
I have a lot of goals that I want to be able to attain in music. I have a lot of milestones that I want to reach. Ultimately, I would love to be able to do music for a living. I'd love to be able to just tour, play with people, connect with different people, whether it's creating music, whether it's connecting with people in the audience that are there to listen to music and just sharing a bunch of different moments with people. That's ideally what my dream consists of. But as far as like concrete goals, I have a couple ideally. My goal is to either get signed to a major label by the time I'm out of the Air Force, or have some sort of concrete plan with good management, with a good team to set myself up for success. to eventually reach that end goal of being able to just tour, play music, and sustain a living off of doing what I love.
It's
That's
going to
pretty.
happen. You're too good. I mean,
I hope so. I don't
let's
like.
just be real here.
I don't care. Like, I don't care too much about like fame or like getting X amount of followers. I think if I can make money doing what I love, then I'm going to consider myself happy and successful at the end of the day. Whether it's playing gigs for thousands of people worldwide, or it's playing small restaurants and small bars in some random city, as long as I'm able to sustain myself and do what I love, like I think I'll be happy.
I just see there's so much that's cathartic about music playing for you. And like you said, as long as you're doing what you love, no matter the stage, you will thrive on that stage. My final question for you, Bradley Kim is with us. I'm Bryan Fenley. What are you working on right now musically in terms of what is coming up? I don't know how much you can reveal, but what can we know?
I'm so excited. So, okay, beginning of 2020, right before we kind of all got hit with COVID, like the big initial surge,
Mhm.
I had written 15 to 20 songs. Like,
Oh wow.
my creativity was like the highest it's ever been in my life at the beginning of last year. And so we're still like, me and my friends are still working on like producing and finishing those songs. So I think I've got probably about 8 of those coming next year. I've got a song called Happy Alone that I'm super excited about. This is one of the ones that I wrote last year. It's been a long time coming. I've I think we have 4 different versions of the song at least.
Oh, wow.
We finished the song, we pitched it to people, and then we decided, no, we're going to change the key. And then we ended up changing almost everything about the song. And so a year and a half later, we're set to release that on December 3rd. And I'm super excited about that one. It's like a combination of like 6 different genres, which is super cool. I rap on it, we get weird. And the I actually just wrote probably lyrically my favorite song last week, and I recorded half of it 2 days ago, and I'm recording the rest of it when we get off this call. um so I've got that, and then my other one that I want to plug is MySpace. I sang it on the Applause concert that I did.
Yeah, with Kelly.
Yeah, the virtual concert with Kelly, and that one I'm super, super, super excited about too, because that one lyrically again is like one of my best songs I've ever written, and yeah, I'm just super excited to share all that I have. I have a lot of music coming out next year. Only one more song for this year, unfortunately, but a lot coming out next year.
That is what you call a tease. Bradley Kim, a lot of good stuff coming up in 2022. Be sure to check out his whereabouts, his story, his music, Twitter, Instagram, even Snapchat. But Instagram is really the hotbed, I would think, Bradley, for
Yeah.
music. Bradley K. Kim, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
is the username. Bradley K. Kim. Give him a follow, give him a shout out, listen to his music, because it's one of those situations, Bradley, where it's good to know you now so that we can say one day we knew you when.
Oh my gosh.
Bradley Kim, I'm
Oh my
Bryan
gosh.
Fenley. Thank you so much for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun. You thought we were all done here. We missed something, and we're going to talk about it. Bradley Kim, Bryan Fenley here. Bradley, now that your story has gotten out and coming out, college football background, coming from Seattle, and now what you're doing musically, how many people have been moved by your story? And how do you want to be a symbol of hope? And how have you been for so many?
Well, I think, like I was talking about before, I think the reasoning I wanted to come out was because I didn't really have a whole lot of people to look up to growing up. Um, I didn't really have a lot of people I could have drawn upon to navigate my story. And so one of the other reasons I haven't talked about yet is I wanted to be a person that people could actually like reach out to. On my coming out, I actually left my email. I left like contact information for people to be able to reach out to me, and the amount of DMs and emails I got was kind of ridiculous in a good way though. Like, it was so amazing amazing in both. It was both amazing and heartbreaking reading all of the stories that people were telling me. Whether it's people telling me, great, like I just came, like you gave me the courage to come up to my parents and it worked out great. Like that shit makes me cry, like in tears of joy. And then like the opposite side of the spectrum is people being like, yeah, like I came out to my parents and they kicked me out. And that is just awful. And like that makes me cry, like tears of sadness. But it's funny because today, literally before this meeting, I had somebody reach out to me asking for advice on a situation that they have. So I just thought that was super funny. Um, but yeah, I've been in contact with a bunch of people, whether it's friends asking for advice, whether it's random strangers emailing me or whatever. Like I've been hit up a bunch of times and I've had great conversations with a bunch of people, and hopefully part of my story or anything that I've said to them has helped them in some way, shape, or form. So
This conversation, another avenue for people to see what you do and to be that symbol of hope, and for your story to get out, and another avenue for that to happen, and to be a part of this with you is something I'm very grateful for. Bradley, Kim, Bryan Fenley, thank you so much for doing
thank
this.
you.